Rosselli Northern supports upstate New York construction with over 400 employees, 250 trucks, 9 ready-mix plants, 4 blacktop plants, and 40 aggregate mines. But their most important number is your bottom line. Contact them today to see why Rosselli Northern has been the choice for contractors and project managers across upstate New York since 1929.
All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes. Here on the second to last Wednesday of May. How about it, Nick? Paul Russo and Nick Felice here with you. As always, a lot of sports stuff to get to, a lot of excitement and the good weather. Nick, you are a dogged man right now, to probably put it lightly. Is the Nick wagon will continue its trek through the postseason today again, but good seeing you. Good to see that you're up on your 2 feet, though. You are running ragged right now.
Yeah. Well, Knicks loss. That really put a damper on my NBA season. But I want to do some breaking news here at the start.
We have breaking news?
Not breaking news. It's a developing story of breaking news, potential breaking news. Pat Russo might be making his return to the podcast someday.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
I didn't want to, didn't want to save that for the end and just want to pull it out right now. Pat Russo, longtime talker on the show, hasn't come on in a couple of years, might make his return here on the podcast. So look out for that.
Well, if I have a development of a maybe.
The development of a breaking news, potential breaking news. But anyway, yeah, been to Penn Yan 2 nights in a row. I like that ride. Don't know if I like it 2 days in a row. But, yeah, it was a great softball game yesterday. Shout out Minders and Penn Yan girls softball. Great game. And Penn Yan pulled out 6-5. Wild one.
Congratulations.
And I'm going finger licks.
Back at it today with Penn Yan. But
Penn Yan and Minders again. Yeah, boys lacrosse.
Yeah.
Penn Yan only beat Minders 9-4 back in the second game of the season. What does that mean for today? We'll see what type of how they've developed throughout the year. Obviously, Minders trying to become Penn Yan, but Penn Yan is just a powerhouse. Is one. Forget what it is now. 24 out of the last 23 out of the last 24 sectional titles or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, should be a good one. Don't know if it's going to continue though. There's words of thunderstorms tonight. We'll see if it happens.
Yeah, I got a baseball game up in Rochester, first of the season for myself anyway tonight. Don't know. See, the way the weather is this time of year, I got to get to a couple ad reads too here. We're just jumbled up here quick. Anyway, yeah, the way I call the weather right now, it's like your kind of typical summer stuff. Like I just think as long as it's humid like the way it is anyway, there's a chance of just rain in general. So it's whatever. Luckily for you up at FLCC, they got turf, so the only really big issue you got, obviously, is the lightning, and thunder, technically. So,
I thought the thunder were eliminated.
At the very,
I thought the lightning were eliminated.
Well, we'll get to the thunder, that's for sure. But yeah, I mean, at least for you, you'll have a definitive answer, I'd say, at some point tonight on your game. For me, remains to be seen. But yeah, like I mentioned, a couple ad reads here. Obviously, thank Rosselli Northern. Saw their stuff up front here. Also need to give a big thank you to Cafe 19, breakfast, lunch, pastries, celebratory cakes and pies, catering, guaranteed fresh, always local at Cafe 19 in St. Falls, also offering an assortment of beverages including tea, coffee, and espresso drinks. Check out their full menu and weekly specials at xixcafe.com and the Cuba Lake Wine Trail. From the first sip to your last look at the lake, Cuba Lake Wine Trail will impress and inspire you. America's first wine trail. You truly choose your own path when you visit the wineries, soak in the scenery, and make memorable moments with friends. Plan your trip at CubaWineTrail.com. So let's jump into it. I know, Nick, you don't want to do it, so we'll do this like a Band-Aid. We'll rip it right off here quickly for you. Begin with the Eastern Conference's Game 7 in the semifinal round of it between the Pacers and Knicks. the much interested hype around a old school rivalry renewed from the 90s. Saw the Pacers come out on top in Game 7, only to lose in Game 1 of this ECF in overtime last night, but we'll get to that more so in a second here. There's one thing I want to talk about after I get your opinion of the series and game itself from Game 7, so the table and floor is obviously yours.
Series was disappointing. That's the word I'll use for this series.
Yeah.
That's 2 years in a row that we thought we got a break. Not getting, ironically, the Milwaukee Bucks twice. thought we got a break, that we didn't get we got an easier team in the second round, and we don't even make the Eastern Conference Finals. Last year, not as disappointing because that Miami Heat team was no 8 seed. This Indiana Pacers team is a 6 seed, and they will always be a 6 seed in my eyes. I don't know. I'm going to be very biased on this talk about this series because I do love my Knicks so much, and this just fuels the energy and the hate more towards Halliburton there. Halliburton, not a big fan. I think he's talks a lot when he wins, doesn't say anything when he loses. Lost a lot of respect for Rick Carlisle in the series, complaining after all the calls in games 1 and 2. They're just a bunch of crybabies, and I don't know. I can't believe I'm here, but I hope the Boston Celtics destroy them. I really do. I never thought in my life I'd say I root for the Boston Celtics, but I hope they destroy them in this series. And I did see the score yesterday. Didn't watch the game. Definitely not watching that series. Might watch the Western Conference Finals. But I'll see the scores. I'll see what happens. Maybe check the box score. But no, I will not sit there and watch Halliburton versus Tatum. I just cannot do it. But real seriousness, even though I was serious there, but
The sad part is I know you were.
it sucks because if we were healthy, I mean, we even lost Brunson at the end. If we were healthy, I mean, I hate this. I know this is biased answers, but I think this is a totally different series. If we throw out our full team there, I give OG a lot of credit to go out there, even though no way he was ever going to play. He went out there for the first 4 minutes, drained a 3. He wanted to play. Josh Hart is a warrior. He deserves a ton of credit for what he did in this playoffs. And we had our chances. We cut the lead to 6, cut the deficit to 6 there in the third quarter. And the Pacers the Pacers shot a historic first half in that Game 7. Unbelievable. I mean, they didn't miss. There was single-digit misses in that first half, I'm pretty sure, on field goals. So, I mean, hats off to them. They showed up, won in Game 7, but, I mean, there's 2 great rivalries with the Knicks now going forward. With this Knicks team, I know you can talk past, but now with the Sixers and the Pacers, I think with these 2 series, we created a nice little rivalry for the next couple years here with these type of teams. Not, past teams, but I mean, it's disappointing, but that's really all I can say.
What'd you make of the, I definitely find it weird and definitely gross, and we'll move on from it at this point. What'd you make of, bluntly, I'll call it, Stephen A., the coverage of ESPN, like Stephen A. being a player, like randomly, like normally I don't feel bad for the famous fans in this situation, but like Spike Lee, I feel greatly awful for. Like I don't think he wanted to be any part of it. Like there was even an instance where like I know on the halftime show of I don't know if it was Game 6 or 7. I can't remember which game it was exactly, but Mike Andrews asked Bob Myers about something involving the Pacers, and he was talking about something with Brunson. So, what'd you make of all kind of that stuff?
Well, Stephen A. Knicks fans do not vibe with Stephen A. No offense.
He doesn't think so.
They do not vibe with him. He is the definition of a fair weather fan, without a doubt. I do not listen to him he's just a maniac on the screen. It makes ESPN look bad, already bad enough. I do not listen to him He is not. He does not represent us. I hate how ESPN. We got to get Stephen A's take on the Knicks. He doesn't. He sounds like a lunatic on the screen there, and yeah, no, he is not our fan. Our fans are Ben Stiller, Spike Lee, Tracy Morgan. Those are the Knicks fans, not Stephen A. He's just crazy on there, and I'm glad he likes the team. But man, can't he talk about the Knicks in a serious tone? He's always got to be yelling about them. Like, shut up, you're making us look bad. Especially this was a great Knicks team that hustled, gave it everything they got on that court. And he just puts like a negative thought on this team, which shouldn't be the case at all. And he just makes people hate the Knicks even more, the way he talks about them.
That's true.
Like, calm down.
Definitely agree there.
Like, no. We do not listen to him. We do not represent him. He does not represent us. We are Knicks fan, not him. He can be a Knicks fan. He's a Knicks fan. He's just not the Knicks fan.
All right. So you mentioned it a little bit. Let's circle back to the west side of things here. Their Game 7. Wow. Was it more the Nuggets lost it or the Timberwolves won it?
That was supposed to be the next comeback.
It was pretty interesting. I think I want to save more of my Timberwolves stuff here when we talk about the series against the Mavs. The Nuggets, man, pleasantly surprised in all the wrong ways, I think, kind of how it all played out for them. I don't know. I mean, it was very clear. We talked about going into the series, right, that Murray probably wasn't going to be 100% throughout. It's sort of similar in a way. Well, I guess not really all that similar, but like the way I view like the Knicks kind of going forward in a way, like I'm like, okay, they can definitely move on from say like Randall, for example, right? The Nuggets, I think, and I don't know who's going to be it for them, right? Like the Knicks, you know, there's going to be some people at least sniffing around for Julius Randle. I don't know who's going to be fully sniffing around for Michael Porter Jr. at this point, but like,
What about his brothers?
Definitely not. Well, there might be some sniffing around, but of a different kind of variety in a different place for each of them. But if you're the Nuggets, I don't think you have to change anything with the core, but like, you definitely got to figure something out. I don't think last year's a fluke, obviously, right? In that sense, I don't want to make it sound like their championship is like the quote unquote Mickey Mouse style, but like the bench this year was pretty whack for them. It's kind of funny phrasing with this, but like letting Bruce Brown go, just letting him walk, proved to be a pretty bigger deal than I think a lot of people maybe thought. You know, their bench depth was just not great this year, right? I mean, outside of and really, to be fair, I mean, like, KCP was starting, so I guess it's really, to be fair, outside of, like, Reggie Jackson, like, there was a lot of inconsistent play for their bench. You know, it's going to be interesting to kind of see how this goes. Obviously, Jokic is, I know we jokingly say it, right, but, like, probably good for Jokic to go and reset here, right, for a few months. And
Go play with his horses a little bit.
well, I mean, the interesting part is going to be the Olympic stuff here, obviously, for him in a little bit, but I know it's always different. I know we talk about for, like, Team USA loves it, but like you know, these guys internationally, it just means it's different to play for the country in places other than I guess the North American hemispheres of sort. You
Here's
know
a
what I
question
mean?
I got for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the answer for it. When's the last time the MVP won a championship?
Ooh. Yeah. Let's see. Jokic was this year.
Embiid
was last year.
Jokic.
Year before that, Jokic.
Was it a Doncic? Did he ever win?
Yeah, Doncic.
Did he win? No.
Who would have been?
Was it the Greek Freak?
Did he win it in 21? I would have to look it up. I'm not 100% sure though. I mean, if it's
I don't
not,
think Doncic ever
if
won.
it's not Giannis, you would have to go back.
I don't think Doncic ever won MVP.
Would it be one of the Warriors years, maybe? I don't know, but I think you'd have to go back pretty deep. It's interesting, too, though, because now in the NBA, it's kind of it's kind of funny because we would mock them kind of religiously 10 years ago for this, but since I guess it'd be since the Warriors run, right? We haven't had a repeat winner. The champions have not gone out of the second round in, I think, 5 years now. Might be pushing a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, we'll have a new champion, and looking around the league here, obviously, we have a legitimate 50-50 shot of a first-time champion, and at the very least, a champion who's going to be now champion for the first time in well over 10 years. So it's pretty interesting, I think, on that note for the NBA with these. Obviously, we're one game down already in that Boston series, in Indiana series. I know you're not obviously going to be tuning in hardcore for that, Nick, but it's definitely weird how the game played out last night. It was kind of like a case of both teams lost it at certain points, or then each team kind of took over and won.
Just give me a week. Maybe I'll tune in a game for 5.
But the Western Conference one, though, to me is the intriguing one, right? Because it's you have the guard play of Dallas against what might be, I do have to eat a little bit of words here, but I still don't think Karl Towns is it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that series plays out. I don't know who's going to win out west. I probably lean Boston, obviously, in the East, just because, I'm not a fan of saying it, but, But, yeah, the Timberwolves team has been interesting kind of now to see develop, and I don't think they can get away with having Anthony Edwards go 2 of 10 or whatever the hell it was, obviously, like in Game 7, so I have an answer.
Yeah, it was the Greek Freak for 2 years.
Was it? Okay.
And it was Harden, Westbrook, Curry, Durant, James.
So Giannis would have been the one there, and then Curry, and then, yeah, I guess LeBron then too. So, but yeah, it's been at least a handful. Well, give or take handful of years, obviously.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of it there. So, how about it? Astute statistician, Elias Sports Bureau in
The last center to win a championship.
as MVP. Can I take a stab? Well, actually, wait, hold on here.
It could be Tim Duncan.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do we rule him?
It says center in here for Tim Duncan.
Okay, so that was what then, 2003?
3 or 2. He won in 3 and 2.
Okay, so
I would assume they won it those years.
it's either, yeah, obviously, well, no, wait, 02.
Crazy. Kevin Garnett's not a center. But
He would never, yeah, but he was never actually a center, though.
He won it with the Timberwolves, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, Duncan, 03 would have been the Spurs when they won the title, yeah.
Steve Nash back-to-back. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, we don't talk about that.
That's crazy.
We don't recognize him as MVP. Yeah, but it will be pretty interesting. Obviously, you will be more, I guess, in tune with the West, if anything, there. So, but
I guess I'll root for Minnesota.
Really?
I'm not.
I'm torn on both of those. So, I'm all for doing the flashy stuff. I don't mind it, but and I kind of was with my dad on this when me and my dad watching that game 7, Edwards was waving to the crowd and stuff in the final seconds, and then they go in for a dunk with McDaniels with the shot clock off and Denver not going for a foul. I'm with my dad. The old school guy in me would have knocked him down in the moment. So, but then again, I really hate Kyrie Irving. So,
And then process elimination. I think I've said this. My three least favorite players in the league right now are Halliburton, Tatum, and Doncic, and I'm not rooting for any of them. So, I guess Minnesota's it. But yeah, Irving, he's close.
yeah.
He's not ahead of Draymond. Draymond's up there.
Yeah. I don't know. I could kind of care. I don't know. Draymond to me at this point is just like we allowed him to get to that point.
And obviously, I'm just had enough of LeBron. Please go away.
So that pretty much does our basketball coverage, I think, for today. NHL.
See you later.
Let's just go be a quasi-quick episode. We got to get you out the door here anyway and stuff like that. So,
To the ice.
yeah, to the ice. Games 7 there as well before we get to obviously the conference finals, which begin tonight, obviously in the NHL.
What's with the delay? Why did it take so long for the conference finals to get going?
Because I feel like in hockey, they recognize the delay should be at the end of series, not in between game 3 and 4.
That's true.
I guess we have to start with the obvious one here, and it's not so much, I think, involving your Rangers, but what has been one of the faces of the league now for the past, kind of crazy to say this part out loud, almost a decade.
He's been around a decade?
Not quite a decade. I believe this is year 8, though.
Vladimir Yager's been around for...
The wild part is, if he had his choice, Yager would be playing still in the NHL. But no, Connor McDavid makes his first conference finals. It's interesting because I know going into Game 7, there was the murmurs of what I call as usual of when you have these star players, right, and they them and their team can't get the job done. And with Edmonton, there's always been this weird, I would call it aura of a sense, right? I mean, because, look, Wayne Gretzky obviously started there, and they had success there with him at the jump, and then things just did not end well. And I think there was a little bit of that creeping back into the minds, even though they didn't have that championship level of success with McDavid, obviously, yet, but creeping in right where there's clearly just this talent here, and, you look at the numbers, and we know this because of fantasy. You have the number one, literally the past 3 years of number 1 and number 2 best fantasy players are on Edmonton, right? In McDavid and Draisaitl. And they just haven't been able to get it done. And now they get to this conference final against another, well, I don't know about necessarily another. Vancouver's definitely a cursed franchise at this point, as I call it. I mean, it sucks. Brock Besser has a fantastic kind of comeback year, would be derailed with clotting issues, and it's never obviously a good period, but especially in hockey, and
JT Miller.
Yeah, I mean, just a kind of an avalanche of stuff in a way kind of happening on them, and that was their first Game 7 since, you want to take a guess, Nick? That was their first Game 7 in Vancouver since?
In Vancouver?
Yep.
I'm going to go like 1997.
No, the 2011 Stanley Cup final when what was going to be a victory riot in the streets turned into a losing riot in the street. Do you remember that one at all?
Not really.
Okay. They're actually doing a 30 for 30 on it this summer.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to get off topic here, Pirates had their first 4-run,
I saw that last
19
night.
comeback in 16 years. I actually remember that game. Jason Michaels, a walk-off home run against the Cardinals.
Philly legend, Jason Michaels.
Yeah. Big,
He's a coach somewhere now. I can't remember where, though.
16 years ago. Anyway.
Crazy. But, yeah, so we have out west, Edmonton kind of headlining this deal. Colorado-Dallas was a series that I feel like we slept on and we probably shouldn't have. Like, that was a great series. And, now we kind of looked on barrel, and Colorado had a really interesting season. They have had a couple guys. We got now one guy in the level 3.
People were picking Winnipeg against them in the first.
I want to make sure I get it kind of the wording right. What like the level 3 tier of like kind of suspension, but also needing to get some substance help out there. And yeah, I mean, a lot of discussion around that series, and now we have Edmonton, Dallas here, and it's gonna be
long flight.
Well, actually, to be fair, yeah, no, it is. Like, I think you got. Dallas is not obviously the most southern team, but Edmonton is I think they are the most northern team.
What shape does, if you you connect all 4 cities, what shape does that create? Rhombus?
New York, Florida. I mean, I think it'd be closer to being like a parallelogram.
Is parallelogram that way?
Right, because you go Dallas, Edmonton is perceived north-south.
New York, Florida.
New York, Florida, well, I guess I guess either way, it's some sort of rectangular.
Sideways rectangle, yeah.
I forget what the proper term.
They're four cities.
Is it rhombus? Is rhombus the proper? I can't remember.
Rhombus, it's parallelogram and rhombus. One was this way, the other one's this way. I can't remember which one.
I thought rhombus was just a generic four-way shape.
What the point is, these four cities are not near each other.
Okay.
A rhombus is the other way, actually.
Like a trapezoid?
A rhombus is a quadrilateral with both pairs of opposite sides parallel and all sides the same length.
So it's not a rhombus.
No.
It's definitely close to just being a generic quadrangle then. So, yeah, I mean, the West is going to be interesting. Obviously, in the East, Nick, your Rangers survive.
Crazy game.
Hey, that'll happen. They in their own games. Yeah, game 7. No, game 6. Shenanigans there. Florida, obviously, has kind of been more, I guess, they've been on the rest the longest. I think they have, right? Yeah. So, well, no, actually, they too went to game 6. So I guess maybe it's the longest by like a day.
Yeah, they were a day earlier, I think.
But, yeah, I mean, the East is, I feel like the East, again, might be getting a little bit more of the treatment as opposed to the West, but, like, the West series is, I think, the better hockey, maybe? I don't know, it's weird. If I had to do, like, a reseed, I might do it as, like, New York 1 still, Dallas 2, Florida 3, Edmonton 4. So I guess it's not quite like a 1, whatever. But I don't know. This is going to be a fun, though, conference finals here in the Stanley Cup playoff because you have a lot of history, obviously, between Edmonton and the Rangers, should they both meet up. Dallas and Florida. Dallas's history, man, I'd put it up there with the Oilers, I think. It's going to be interesting. And obviously, Florida, they're just consistent at this point. So, I don't know. How you feeling, though? I guess we'll circle back and begin kind of with the East, though, with you, Nick. How you feeling about your Rangers against this Panthers team?
Parallelogram is actually that way, too.
Oh, boy.
Rhombus?
You're still on the shapes. You're still on geometry.
Clearly, what my takeaway is, clearly Dallas is not a football town. Like, let's get this straight. Basketball and hockey still play.
That reminds me, I might have to send it to you. Did I send you the TikTok of Tim Robinson, the meme on TikTok where it's like, I'm doing my part, I'm doing my part, I'm doing my part, and then I'm not doing shit? I'm going to have to send you it. It's of the Dallas sports teams.
Dallas.
I'll let you take a guess as to who the Tim Robinson character is.
I already know. Is Texas Rangers technically Dallas?
Arlington, yeah. Which is where the Cowboy Stadium is. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think clearly Dallas is the better team, but Edmonton's got all the pressure with Connor McDavid, along with Leon Draisaitl, 2 superstars in this game, both in the conference finals for the first time. A lot of pressure on them. I'm telling you right now, if it's Edmonton and New York Rangers in the Stanley Cup finals, it's going to be a lot of storylines going into that series. Dallas, Florida, 2 very good teams, not so much, but still could be some storylines, just saying. Florida's just going to be like Carolina. They're just a way better Carolina, to be honest with you. Ooh. This is going to be a tough series. Even if the Rangers go up 3-0 again, I'm not feeling confident. That's how good this team is.
Shouldn't.
This is a good team here, and they just had a very physical series with Boston, and they just were in the Stanley Cup Finals a year ago. So a lot of pressure on Florida. I mean, they want to get back. They want to win it. They want to finish the job this year. Wonder if Brooks Koepka will be in the stands. Big Florida Panther fan.
Depends the live schedule.
But yeah, the Knicks are done. But the Rangers, man, this city loves the Rangers. You see the crowd they had for a game that wasn't even there. The watch party at MSG when Kreider had that third goal. They were throwing all the hats out on the ice, an empty ice. Nobody's even out there. Crazy stuff. I mean, even if they lose this year, Paul, the President's Trophy curse wasn't the reason they knocked them out, right? Can we agree to that?
I think at this point,
Yeah, they're at the conference finals now, played well. They're also
I'm looking up the live schedule, by the way. That's what I'm.
8-2. Yeah, we got to find out live schedule.
Live is off until June 7th.
So we might see a Brooks
So-
Koepka sighting.
Brooks might even be at MSG tonight. You never know.
Remember him after the PGA Championship, how drunk he was or high, whatever he was at that game?
Oh, he was sloshed at the very
He's
least.
completely gone. It was the day after, I think, after he won.
Right.
He's down in Florida. Oh, man, he was gone. But love to see that. He just won the PGA Championship. Can't hate. Shout out Alexander Schauffele. Finally got it done. But, yeah, looking forward to the series. Bring a little spirits back to the city, you know? Yeah, we lost the Knicks, but the Rangers are still
We
here.
lost the Knicks. Make it sound like they moved.
But the Rangers are
Yeah, but the Knicks moved to Westchester.
Hey, so what? We didn't get the Celtics. At least the Bruins aren't good enough to fight us. I mean, that's always a good thing. So, looking forward to the series. Game 1 tonight. And it's going to be a tough one.
Who you got tonight?
Of course, Rangers. Come on. Zibanejad's going to get a goal.
You're
Trocheck.
saying at least up 3-0, and then
Yeah. Trocheck will get a shot, you know? He'll get a shot on goal.
one shot. That's it. That's your prediction. It's Trocheck will have one shot.
Maybe more. And Shesterkin's going to show up, so.
True. That's factually correct.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see McDavid versus Shesterkin in the finals. That's what I want.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll find out in a couple of weeks, I guess, on that front, really, for sure. Yeah, I think I got to roll with the Rangers still. It's weird. I don't think, like, the Panthers' game plan to me is they're going to try and keep it the same like what they did with Boston to a degree. I just don't know if their bodies can handle it for another 5-6 games. I mean, they're going to probably, I can't imagine either team sweeping each other. You know what I mean? So I would imagine, I just can't see all their bodies holding up like that.
I trust
I mean, that and like, I hate doing it like this, but hockey's the one sport where, you know, you can kind of get away with saying stuff like this in a sense. But like, Sam Bennett is like a marked man anyway. Like, I don't think the Rangers are going out there saying that right now, but like, if he were to do something again, you know, I just, like, I can't imagine him getting a quote unquote getting away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a second series in a row.
Rempe will get him.
Well, right, but the numbers in that, right, just don't, it's going to catch up to you. That sports always do that.
I trust your pick. You took my Notre Dame football team in the championship game.
Christ.
You took the Giants in the Super Bowl this year. I trust your pick.
So on that end, maybe I should just do the Panthers to spare you.
You did pick my Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals. You very
Did?
You said you think the Knicks will get the job done. You still think it's Knicks Celtics. You said that.
Oh, well, yeah, that's true. Shit. Well, maybe my closet picks of the Pirates then are also in trouble.
Yeah,
then,
just
too.
go back to the Devils, man. That's your pick.
Well, that was you. Yeah, and then it's weird because, like, this is going to be the weird, like, quasi name drop portion of the podcast, but look, I went to college in Erie, and McDavid's junior career was in Erie, and, you know, I met him a couple times, just kind of what I call in passing type deal, because, you know, we would get passes through the college radio station to do some media stuff and whatever else, and you know, I'd like to see him. It's hard not to want him to see him win. By all accounts, he's at least a guy who, you know, doesn't get into things, you know, the bad stuff, all that, whatever. And I just always struggle to kind of root for Dallas teams, you know.
I mean, it took Ovechkin a while to win his first title.
Yeah. I think that was a little bit different, though, at the time. Well, it's also two different things, I guess, in a way. Either way, yeah, I think I would like to see Edmonton over Dallas, you know, at this point. So, Rangers, Edmonton.
Did you drive through Erie?
Sounds like a Stanley Cup fun.
Drive through Erie this past weekend?
Twice.
How was Cleveland, by the way?
It was fun. We did the hockey game, which was planned. We also ended up impromptu going to the Guardians game Friday night, which was cool. ended up on TV on Apple TV Plus.
I remember that.
Or whatever the hell it's called. And
Guardians have been hot.
are they the hottest team in baseball? I think they are now because the Yankees have dropped 2 straight.
Twins have fallen off a little bit. They were very hot.
Well, I mean, the Guardians swept the Twins after the Yankees swept the Twins.
What's up with the Yankees? Losing a couple to the Mariners.
I can't speak for yesterday's game, but like Clay Holmes couldn't be that good forever. Not to make it sound bad, like Clay Holmes, I think has turned into a really good kind of bridge project between the Pirates and the Yankees in a way. He was never like this like top prospect at all.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, he bounced back great to start the year compared to last year.
What did you get at the Guardians game to eat?
I finally got the slider dog. Finally got
the loops
slider
or whatever
dog.
on it. Pretty
So it's funny because I did actually get asked this by a couple people on Instagram. How do you rank it? And I rank it an 8.3 out of 10. And my reason for that is it would be higher if the Fruit Loops were stale.
Wow.
But the flavors all worked super well together. I'm being honest with you. I could eat that pimento mac and cheese just by itself. I'm a big pimento cheese guy anyway, but like pimento mac and I guess it'd be mac and pimento cheese. Oh my God.
How's my boy Slider doing?
Man, dude, he was having himself a fun night. It was the debut of the City Connects in Cleveland, so he was having a riot. He looked dapper.
I got a Slider doll at my house.
It was also, we didn't know this either because we went, and probably me and my buddy Nick. It was also Dollar Dog Night, so I mean it was just packed.
Wow.
Anyway, Cleveland, you need to go. So I mean you've been there. I don't mean not like in that sense. But if you haven't been, go. Also on Friday home games, I guess they have this like beer deal going on out in center field. I guess it's also like in a couple other spots too. I forget, but they have like it's meant for like the pavilion out in the outfield. But $2 Miller Lite cans until first pitch, and then $5 after first pitch until supplies run out.
Wow.
Like it's a banger of a deal.
That's a nice little area right there. You got
Yeah.
the Cleveland Cavs Stadium right there, and when Game 7 was,
Which is where the hockey game was, yeah.
where Game 7 was being played with them and the Magic, and the Guardians were playing at the same time. It had been crazy that Sunday afternoon.
And the casino. Cleveland's a great downtown. It really is actually a really good downtown. Like I think people don't realize that.
And there's a nice little hangout spot where
The bar scene.
Margaritaville is.
Yeah, the bar scene's great.
Down in that area.
Yeah,
Pretty nice.
That spot. There's a lot of actually the best ones are like right off of that because everybody goes to like those ones now. The best ones now to go to are like right off of it on is it East 6? It's like off of East 6. I forget the road their street. I want to say like Ontario Street's right in there too. Well, Ontario Street is right in there. That's the street that would be parallel to the river and the stadiums. But there's a bunch of stuff now right in there where it's either way it's
Joakim Noah's not a fan, but it's a great city.
It's also French, so now that I've completely pissed off a country, let's move on to our last main topics of the day.
The French Open. Imagine.
It's not for another week though, is it right?
This Monday.
Yeah. About to say they're still doing. I think the final round of qualifiers are going on right now and stuff.
Second round's going on out of 3.
Ended up being a pretty. Now we usually talk about Motorsports Christmas as we refer to it now anyway on here, but it ended up being a pretty interesting weekend of motorsport anyway. To the point that even guys like you, Nick, who you kind of pay attention to the main stuff of like NASCAR. Like your Daytona 500 type events. You know what's going on with that. You probably, going into this weekend, probably could have cared less about the All Star Race, I'm assuming, right?
I will say it's one of my least favorite races of the whole year.
But what I'm getting at, though, is, right, like, you probably, if it wasn't for the fact that, like, I was talking about it and then obviously what happened, you probably wouldn't even have known that it was this past weekend, right?
I know more than you think.
I'm talking, though, in the grand, like, scheme of it. Like, you weren't, like, you're not sitting there on Sunday night bored out of your skull. They're like, I'm just going to tune in on the race because it's, like, there. Like, you probably had, like I said, you really no idea in the grand scheme. Okay. So let's start here. I want to give the better overall. I want to paint the picture. Kyle Larson, and we'll touch more on this obviously in a second here, running the double, the Indy 500 and Coke 600. So he's up in Indianapolis, makes fast 12, then makes fast 6 of the pole qualifying for Indy, ends up qualifying 5th for the Indy 500, which is nuts considering this is his first time really ever in an Indy car.
Wow.
So All Star Race already getting a little bit more hype around it than usual because of that. He makes it down to North Wilkesboro in time. Ends up being Bubba Wallace, Ty Gibbs, who won the Open. Bubba came in second, and then Noah Gragson in via the fan vote. Round out the field of 20. We don't even make it. Now, North Wilkesboro, 3/8 of a mile short track. One of the historic tracks in NASCAR. Revived it last year, had the All Star Race last year and this year. We don't even make it, Nick. 1/8 of the mile, 2/8 of the mile, so a quarter of a mile, and we have controversy. Kyle Busch going into turn 1. Now, the way you run North Wilkesboro is you're kind of taking a kind of quasi-higher line anyway than most short tracks, but he went a lane higher than you usually go anyway. So Ricky Stenhouse sees a hole and goes for it. Now, I want to preface it with this. The only racing I've done has been on simulators and sims, and
And Mario Kart.
And Mario Kart, correct. But you see a hole like that, you go for it. You would be remiss if you were a race car driver if you don't go for that gap in that situation. Never touched Kyle Busch. This is the key part of this. Never touched Kyle Busch's car. Kyle Busch comes out of 2. They're 3 wide. The car on the inside of Ricky Stenhouse, who's inside of Kyle Busch, Michael McDowell, probably doesn't know that they're 3 wide in this situation. So there's no room for Ricky to go lower than when Kyle Busch hits the wall and comes off and hits Ricky. Kyle Busch reverts back to what I call pre-COVID Kyle Busch and loses a gasket. Follows Ricky into turn 3 and 4, nudging him all the way around. They get to the front stretch, get to turn 1, and at that point sends Ricky out on lap 2. It's a 200-lap race. North Wilkesboro, old school. They don't have a tunnel. They don't have a bridge. So Ricky's in the infield this whole time. Okay? Backtrack a little bit here. Ricky parks his car in the 8 pit stall, goes up on the pits box, has a conversation with Randall Burnett, the crew chief for Kyle Busch. I forget who else is up there, but the other main person up there to know is Andy Petrie, who is a competition guy.
You ever see someone parking their car in the wrong spot?
I have, actually. This happens a little bit more than people think is a sign of displeasure. I think the people who are coming around the fight are like, it kind of started with anyway, and then Ricky parked. I'm like, that actually happens quite a bit more than I think people think.
So
if I'm being honest.
So he goes up to the crew chief.
Right. And they discuss whatever. Kind of seems like, again, a little bit of a we'll agree to disagree type thing. Ricky more or less has a post. He gets out of the infield care center. Fox interviews him as like, I'm going to have a discussion with him, and reverts back to something that happened in 2010. Was it 2010? I want to say 2010 or 2011 between him and Kevin Harvick when Harvick was running for RCR, and Richard Childress said he's, hold my watch in reference to having to take care of business with Kyle Busch. Ricky made an allusion to that. So obviously Ricky's calling a shot about having at least a discussion with Kyle post-race because Ricky can't go anywhere. And this is one of those things where I'm willing to bet, and this is something even Ricky said, I'm willing to bet if he could go home and not have to stew on his emotions for 198 laps, what happened wouldn't have happened. Post-race, Kyle gets out of his car, leaves on pit road, obviously, heading back to his trailer. Ricky's right there waiting for him, and they have a brief discussion to where, and I feel like Ricky was probably going to hit him anyway. I think the real trigger point was Kyle just more or less 5 seconds, but 5 lines of dialogue between the two into it of blowing Ricky off. Ricky finally just kind of snapped and landed a pretty good punch, in all honesty. We see usually some sort of fight once a year throughout one of the top 3 the touring series of NASCAR. That was the first really good punch in a number of years. Ross landed one on Noah Gregson. Ross Chastain landed one on Noah Gregson last year in the Cup Series. That's up there. But that was between just those two. We had the crews involved on this one. We had Ricky's dad involved on this one. You had media members literally kind of thrown to the ground, just not intentionally. I don't want to make it sound like pit crew members were like throwing media. It just because of the tightness and capacity that is the infield that is North Wilkesboro. They were just inadvertently in the way, and through the chaos of everything, a couple of them ended up on the ground, losing their phones. It ended up being pretty crazy.
A lot of people there because they knew he was going to talk to them.
Correct. And I don't think anybody fully expected that happened to happen. Ricky has gone on to say he did talk after the fight too. Fox really interviewed with him. Kyle respectfully declined, and Ricky said he's going to be racing Kyle differently, to say the least, here now for sure. Still, stuff has come out in the past day or so. The penalties were levied this morning on Wednesday because NASCAR, their Hall of Fame announcement yesterday, they weren't going to do anything to really distract from that. Childress said he's willing to fight Ricky, I guess. Old man Richard Childress, 78-year-old car owner and team owner of RCR. Ricky got fined $75,000. His dad's indefinitely suspended from coming to the races. Two of his crew members got suspended, one for 4 races and the other one for 8. And that was pretty much it. But, yeah, talk about a weekend.
And Joey Logano won.
Yeah, and all the stuff, right? Joey Logano wins the All Star Race.
That was not the story, unfortunately,
No.
for Joey. But you always see this, whether it's boxing, MMA, or hockey.
Yeah.
Anytime there's a fight, it blows up in the sport even more.
It depends. Well, it's a little bit different. Yeah, it varies, but yeah. I think NASCAR is inherently not a fighting sport in that sense. It
Like
gets
baseball.
up. Yeah.
When Odor gave Batista the
Exactly,
nice punch there, that was a huge
That's
story.
a good callback, yeah.
It's a huge story. Is this Greg Bifflebor set? I don't know. But
I wouldn't even put it up there. That fight, well, it wasn't really even a fight. Like those two are actually, it's funny because Biffle has talked about this, but like those two are friends. And it was just, I think, a matter of collective misunderstanding at the moment.
friends fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Me and you did.
yeah.
Do you remember that at all, by the way?
A little bit.
I got in your head that day. It was so bad.
Basketball, yeah. So whose side are you on?
Ricky.
I'm never on Kyle Busch's side. I don't like Kyle Busch.
It'd be one thing if Ricky actually did like put him in the wall, like make contact with him to put him in the wall in the first place, but Kyle ran like a groove higher than anybody else anyway, and like I said, if you as a race car driver are not trying to take that spot in line, then at that point, then don't be on the racetrack. You know, trust me, it takes a lot for me to be on Team Ricky in general in this sense. So, but like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what Kyle was thinking in that sense. You know, I don't know, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this weekend at Charlotte. Obviously, I mentioned Motorsports Christmas, F1 in Monaco Sunday morning for us here. Indy 500 at noon, and then the Coke 600 at night for NASCAR. Even a day that you, Nick, as I've mentioned, you know, this is, you know, a day that you kind of pay attention a little bit more to than anything else. I don't think Kyle Larson's going to win the Indy 500, but it'd be the craziest thing ever if he did. Yeah, for Monaco, it's just going to be whoever kind of gets the pole for F1. And look, I get the prestige of it at this point, but man, it's like the worst race of the year for F1 because it's just a parade. Nobody can pass. Yeah. It's a tight track. The cars are huge for it. I don't know. But I'm looking forward to really Indy and the 600 this year.
Yeah, should be an exciting weekend.
Should I make my picks?
Yeah.
So I think Charles Leclerc finally breaks the Monegasque curse and wins on his home track for Ferrari. So I'm going to go Leclerc wins F1 at Monaco. Indy, Indy's always kind of like a weird toss-up of sort. I don't know what to expect Indy this year. Like, the top 8 qualifiers were all Chevrolets. The top 3, the whole first row is Team Penske. I don't really want one of those guys to win exactly, but if one does, and I think he will, I'm going to go with the Australian Scotty McLaughlin. I think he gets his first Indy 500 win. And I think in Charlotte for the 600, I do this every year, I feel like, but something about 600 miles favors him, and he does always well here for it. So I'm going to go with Martin Truex Jr. for the 600.
Nice.
Yeah.
It'd be nice. It'd be a nice winner.
Then we'll throw a $5 parlay across the board on that.
Kyle Larson would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, I just want him to do all 1,100.
Is he not running the NASCAR race?
No, he is. It's the double. He's running both.
Are they both in? They're both in Indy.
No.
Oh, wait. When's the NASCAR race?
6 p.m.
And the Indy 500 is also on that day.
Yeah. He's the first driver to be doing the double since Kurt Busch in 2014.
How does he get to
Attempting
both?
it.
How does he get to Charlotte?
With an airplane.
He's just gonna fly.
Yeah.
Wow. Didn't really process that. That is what time does the Indy 500 start?
Noon.
Jeez.
Indy usually wraps up by like 3.
And he's just gonna fly to Charlotte and basically get in a car.
The helicopter will literally land on the racetrack.
Damn.
Yeah.
So how many miles is the Indy 500?
500.
So he's gonna drive 1,100 miles.
Yep. If he does them all.
In one day.
Yep.
And technically not go anywhere.
All right, Pat.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Now, Tony
miles.
Stewart's the only person to have driven all 1,100 miles. Larson's the 5th driver. This is the 6th attempt at it, but the 5th driver to do the double. The others are John Andretti, Robbie Gordon, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch, and now Larson. So,
Wow.
yep.
Has anyone ever won both?
No.
Now, what would you think of that? That'd be unbelievable.
If he somehow won both, we are talking about. I mean, there's already talks of him, but and I'm not a Larson fan, but he is the greatest driver in the world, undisputed. If he were to do both, win both,
Wow.
hands down.
Interesting. Is this his first Indy race?
Yeah.
Ever?
Yep.
Wow. That would be something.
Yeah.
I'd be rooting for him.
There you go. Who do you think's gonna win?
Alexander Rossi.
Wow, he did. Now he's showing a lot of promise for the first time in a couple of years at Indy. So, and he's teammates with Larson, by the way.
Wow.
So, how about it?
Connor Daly? Is he in it?
Yeah, I think he qualified 20 something.
Is he in Truck Series?
No, this is his first race this year.
Wow.
Period.
Yeah. It's tough. It's a tough gig.
It's the worst thing in motorsports to be average without money. So, that'll do it. But, yeah, that'll do it for Fresh Takes today then. Nick, we got to get you out here, so shout out on the fly. Who's getting the shout out today?
Double shout out.
Whoa, back-to-back weeks.
I got to help my Uncle Tom after this. His birthday is on Monday, so shout out Uncle Tom. And shout out Jack DeRue. His birthday is on Tuesday next week. So shout out, double family shout out, uncle and cousin. Shout out Jack and Tom.
There it is. Shout out to both. Birthdays to both. Yeah, go help him out before you have to go cover some sporting events.
The game's not till 7 though.
Still though. It's a brutal travel week for you.
It is Memorial Day weekend.
Yep.
Eat a hot dog.
I will. Or will you?
Oh, of course.
Attaboy. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing, but I mean, Sunday I'll be watching races inside, so it don't matter. Yeah, anyway, as we really nail this dismount, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. We will talk again next week. Actually, yeah, the programming note that I forgot to mention, but that's not for another 3 weeks at this point, so don't worry about it. I'll bring that up next week, throw it in the mental notes. We'll talk with everybody next week. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. Stay safe and have fun.